Hello everybody, this is Arun Jacob, your friendly and frank licensed immigration advisor who helps people interested to move to New Zealand and helps them make this beautiful country their new home. Many of the queries I get are from prospective international students who would like to come here to New Zealand and study here and hopefully go on to also make this country into their long-term residence as well. And the government has a clear pathway designed for international students who have the required skills to be able to come here and study, and after they complete the studies they get the 1 year post-study work visa subject to they having done the right level of course and also having passed the course. So once they do the right level of course and also pass the course, then they go on to get the 1 year post-study work visa, during which they try and seek employment in the subject of their interest and in the subject which they have studied. And once they get the what is known as skilled employment, then they get the required number of points to actually make an application for to become a resident of New Zealand. So that's a clearly defined structured pathway, and it's quite popular with many students from different parts of the world. So I get a lot of queries through my online videos and through my Facebook group and our Facebook page, which belongs to my company called AJV Migration. And they ask me, so what are the kind of, so these students ask me, so what are the kind of things I need to be looking at before I decide to come here to New Zealand? So I said, all right, I like to kind of play around with words a little bit, and as you would probably see from my other videos as well. And I broke it down into a set of 5 C's. So I think what prospective students need to be looking at C1, C2, C3, C4 and C5. So let's see what are all these C's now. Now the first C is for the country itself. And when, by the country I mean New Zealand. So why do you have to choose New Zealand? People perceive it to be a very small country and with a very small population and stuck away somewhere to the bottom of the earth, close to the South Pole kind of perception is what a lot of people have who do not research New Zealand properly. Well, I live here in this lovely country, and I can tell you there's actually a lot happening for this country. So as a destination, New Zealand is probably a very, very good idea because yes, we are definitely small, our population is not very big, but the scope for growth is tremendous. We are a well-performing economy. We are an advanced nation with all the right infrastructure and systems and processes and policies in place. We have a stable government. We have the best, probably one of the best social welfare structures in the world. We have good equality between the genders. There is great racial harmony. There is fantastic religious freedom. There is free speech. There is, you name it, I mean, it's all there. And New Zealand has so many things happening to it. It is rated very high in the ease of doing business by the World Bank. It is rated as one of the best places to live on earth by different polls. It is always in the top 2 or 3 least corrupt countries in the world. Its economy is rated pretty well, although it is heavily reliant on dairy industry, and but we do have good solid backing industries like tourism, and international education is becoming a pretty big industry as well. And we have a thriving economy, and service sector is pretty strong, and so there are various opportunities. So in terms of the country itself, yes, we are not a huge big economy like America, but there's just a lot happening here, and not to mention the fact that it is pollution free, and it is not crowded, and it's amazingly beautiful as a country. Just go to Google and say, hey, look, show me some New Zealand landscapes, and you'll be stunned with the absolute visual beauty of this place, which was also beautifully portrayed in Lord of the Rings and so many other movies. So yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful country, but it's also a fantastic society as well. And having lived here in this country for many years, and with my family and my children growing up here, I can vouch for the fact that it is a beautiful country and a great destination to consider. So your first C is the country, which is New Zealand itself. Now your second C has to be the course. So by course, I mean, what is the a lot of students, unfortunately, just kind of blindly take the advice of people who call themselves agents or advisors or whatever, which I think is the wrong way of approaching your move to New Zealand, because probably the most important thing is the second C, which is the course, because the course will define what is it that you are going to end up doing once you complete that particular stint of education. So the course has to be something that is in sync with not only your current situation and your past education and work history, but also your future aspirations. And there are plenty of courses. There's also a course in deep sea diving. But if that is your calling in life, that's the course you need to be looking at. But unfortunately, we find that a lot of people, I might go to these so-called agents who have little or no knowledge about the country, like New Zealand, and they are based overseas somewhere, and probably most of these guys have not even set foot in this country, and they do not understand the realities, the ground realities of what's happening here in this country. But when a prospective student comes, they say, why don't you go for a diploma in business, or why don't you go for a diploma in information technology, or why don't you go for a master's in environment, or but I think that is a very wrong way of of suggesting, because in my company, for instance, if somebody comes and says, "Hey, look, my background is that I've done a Bachelor of Science with biology, physics, chemistry, and so what would you recommend that I do?" We take some time. We try to understand what were the papers that you actually studied, and we talk to you, we interview you, we understand what are your future aspirations, and then based on that we try and match it. And matching it not only to look at it from the perspective of just completing a good postgraduate course or a higher level course, but also to see what are the career opportunities. So as a team, my team and I, we actually go through each and every profile that is presented to us from a prospective student, and we try to understand you first, and then what your current situation is and what your future aspirations are. And a lot of times the course level will also depend on your affordability. Can you pay, let's say, a higher sum for a master's, or would you rather step down and do a postgraduate diploma? But what is the difference between that master's and postgraduate diploma? What is the difference in the papers? Is there something specific that is meant for you? And I think the most important thing that needs to be discussed in terms of course is what actually happens after you complete that course. Because a course in itself doesn't mean anything. It needs to lead to a job. It needs to lead to a career, and hopefully it should lead to a resident visa here in New Zealand. So I think your second C is very, very critical course, and I would strongly encourage, find a good advisor who won't treat you as just another number who has walked into their office and say, okay, why don't you do a diploma in this, or why don't you do a PG diploma in this, but who will spend some time with you and understand and be a true counselor, because the word counselor has lost its meaning sometimes, especially in the context of the overseas education. But a really good counselor must spend time and understand the aspirations and the current situation and the future challenges, and what can be a successful outcome for the student. So I think your second C is very important. That's the course. The third C is the college. So you now decided on the country, the first C. You've decided on the course, which is the second C, and the third C has to be a college or the institution. Now New Zealand has got three kinds of institutions. So we have universities, we have institutes of technology, and then we have polytechnics. Now a lot of people again do not really understand what is the difference between these three. Is a PTE lesser than a university, or is a university higher than a PTE, or what is an ITP? So there is a lot of confusion around it. And of course, in many instances, the course you choose will actually define which college or institution you're going to as well. Because, like I said, for instance, there is a lovely course in outdoor adventure in New Zealand, and that's found in, probably to the best of my knowledge, just one institution here in New Zealand. So sometimes your course will define the college, but sometimes it's also important that you choose the right college as well. And the right college, especially in the private sector, where where there are a lot of PTA stands for private training establishment. There are a lot of colleges which have been set up by private parties, and some of them are brilliant. We work with some, my company works with some of these private institutions, and they're absolutely brilliant. They're top notch, and they could probably rub shoulders with the best institutions in the world. But then some of them are also equally bad, and there is a New Zealand government authority called NZQA, which stands for New Zealand Qualifications Authority. and that does an audit of these institutions and tells you how good they are, and there's actually clearly published reports about the institution. So there's a lot of information, and again, a good counselor has to be able to provide all this information to a prospective student, and because it's not a product or a one-off something that we are selling to you. It is your entire future and career. So the country is important, the course is important, and the college is important, and that's where a good company like AJV comes into the picture, because we have been in this field for a long time, and we know the ins and outs of the situation, and so we can tell you about the country, we can tell you about the course, and we can tell you about the college, and kind of match everything to your requirement. The fourth C, and probably again very, very critical, is your career. So you've now decided to become an international student in New Zealand, and so your first C is New Zealand, which is the country. The second C is the course. You have decided that you what the course you want to do, and the third C is your college, and you've decided what college you want to go to, and then the fourth C has to be the career. What will be the outcome after you complete this course in this country and in this college? So it is all leading up to that, which is like, so what is my career going to be? There are some students, who say, hey, look, I just want to do this fantastic course that's found only in New Zealand, and I'll probably head off back to my home country, or I'll head off to some other destination and make a career for myself, which is great, and which is where again all that matching has to be correct, because all the first three C's should lead up to the fourth C. The country, the college, and the course must lead up to the career, and which is where again a good advisor, especially somebody like myself, because I'm a licensed immigration advisor, I can also check to see what can be the job outcomes for that course, whether that job or a career that you're seeking, at what skill level will it be in something, it's called the ANSCO list. So somebody like myself will actually look at the possible outcomes and determine to see where exactly the job possibilities exist. So your fourth C, which is probably the most important, is your career. And the last C, and again something that ties in all the first four C's and brings it all together, is your counselor. And by counselor, I mean not just the individual counselor, but the company itself. What kind of a track record does the company have? What kind of a track record does the counselor have? Who you're trusting to help you with the first four C's? Is there somebody who you can trust so implicitly, or in whom you have that faith, who can kind of spend that good quality time with you as a true counselor and tie it all together for you and say, hey, look, this is the country, and these are the reasons why you need to choose New Zealand. This is the course. These are the reasons why you should consider choosing this course. This is the college. These are the reasons why you must consider this college. This is the career outcome. These are the places where you should be looking for, post-study work opportunities. And I am your counselor, and I am the company who will help you with a good admission and visa process. And because companies get paid by the institutions for recruiting students like yourself, most companies do offer a free service, and which is fantastic because they're getting remunerated by the college and the institution. So, but do not forget the fact, just because it is a free service, do not forget the fact that you're a customer, you're a client. So that is probably the sixth C. Do not forget that fact. So sit and ask your company, ask your counselor saying, hey, look, I need to get more information than what you're providing, or can you give me some more data, or just don't try to push something down my throat and say, this is the only course for you. Because let's be realistic. Sometimes companies can get selfish, and they can try to send you to a place where they are probably earning more commission, or they are going to make more money. But how good is it for you? Is that the right decision for you? And that is where you need to choose an organization, a company, and a counselor who will put your interests ahead of the interests of the company, because sure, the company needs to make a profit and the company needs to earn money, but not at the expense of the future of a young student like yourself. So you need to be careful, and which is where I urge you to choose good counselors. We would love to work with you. By that I mean my company AJV and my team of brilliant people. We would love to be your counselors and take you through this entire journey and help you to not only come here as a successful international student, but also, hopefully come out the other end of the pipe as a successful resident and citizen of New Zealand. And just bear in mind, it is not only your requirement to come and study in New Zealand and get a world-class education and hopefully a career and a future in a lovely country like this, but it is also the requirement for New Zealand to try and attract a good, solid, knowledgeable, skilled people like yourself. So it is a mutual give and take. You come to New Zealand, you invest your money, time, and effort, and get a good qualification, and New Zealand will hopefully provide you with the opportunity to stay on here and create a good future for yourself and your future family. So I hope that concept of the 5 C's has helped. In fact, it is 6 C's now, because it is country, course, college, career, counselor, and you as the client. So remember, you're in control, and okay, maybe that is the 7th C. You are in control, and please make sure that you pick the first 5 or 6 C's in the correct manner. And I think the most critical C in that whole thing is a good counselor. So please choose a good counselor. If you want to work with AJV, we would love to work with you. But otherwise, irrespective of whichever part of the world you're in, please choose a good counselor and do come to New Zealand and make this into your new home. We would love to have you here. And if you're skilled, I think you will also contribute in a very positive manner to this country. Thank you for listening to my videos, and I hope that these are of help to you. And if you need any more information, please send an email which is in the comments below this video. And otherwise, also keep writing in your queries, and I will try and make videos which can be useful for you. Thank you for your time. I've broken it down into a set of 5 C's, and